Hey, this is Buck Dharma of Blue Oyster Cult, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged, USDA prime Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and of course the king of all, those gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had, probably be the best you ever have as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com, or give them a call, find out what's for dinner. 702-799-9935, 702-799-9935, 702-799-9935 for UppercutChops.com. Yes! All right, welcome in everybody on TV and radio all across these United States of America. Everybody also on streaming, thanks for joining us, and pick your favorite platform. Even everybody on social media. Special hello to our friends over on Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Folks, make sure you check that out. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Kind of a fun little page. It's all for free. It's all for fun. And go ahead and post your favorite recipes, restaurants, and whatnot. And it's just a lot of fun. All right, folks. Right from the very top, it's going to be Major League Baseball. And Major League Baseball has its playoffs going on right now. And in case you don't know, there are some really, and I mean really good young players playing right now in these playoffs. And one of them that has been flying under the radar, and I'm not talking about Jackson Merrill. I'm not talking about Jackson Holiday. So there's the Jackson 3. I'm talking about Jackson Chourio of the Milwaukee Brewers. Let me tell you something. This kid is 20 years old, and he is putting the team on his back. Win, lose, or draw, this kid should be given very high consideration for Rookie of the Year. Because if you look at his numbers, as opposed to the other Jackson that's in the running, which is Jackson Merrill for the San Diego Padres, his numbers are just one tick off. But I would say that Jackson Chourio has done more in the playoffs than Jackson Merrill. And Jackson Merrill's playing very, very well for the Padres. But listen, this guy is doing it on all fronts, and he's flying under the radar on a team that's flying under the radar. So Jackson Chourio keeps the Brewers season alive, adds his name to the Major League Baseball record books with 2 home runs in game number 2 against, yes, their rival and one team that nobody wants to play right now. Of course, the New York Mets are a really hot team. But if you look at what the Mets have done, you say, wow, that's pretty impressive. But look what the Brewers have been doing, and they've been doing it all year. In the same way that the Cleveland Guardians have been doing it sort of under the radar all season. And we're going to get to them in just a minute. So real quick on this Jackson Chourio, this, I got to tell you, I'm just very impressed with the way this kid plays. In fact, we even have a sound clip here, and that is courtesy of Yahoo, Major League Baseball, as well as their insiders as well. Let's see if we can pull some audio from those guys. All right, let's see what we've got here. So bear with me, folks. You never know what's going to happen. Let's go to the beginning. Here it is.
Jackson Chourio leads it off against Maton. It is deep. It is gone! We are tied in the 8th inning on the second homer of the night from Jackson Chourio. Garrett Mitchell comes to the plate. It is up. It is gone! off the top of the wall and out of here! Garrett Mitchell, a go-ahead 2-run home run in the bottom of the 8th inning.
So, folks, what happened was the Milwaukee Brewers got their leadoff with their leadoff hitter in the first inning with Jackson Chourio going opposite field against Sean Manaea. We have a family tie to Sean Manaea. Sorry, Sean, it is what it is. And then he leads the game with a 5-1 or 3-1 lead in the 5th inning, only to have the 8th inning come around and Jackson Chourio again goes opposite field and hits a screaming line drive into the seats for his second home run, and both of them were opposite field home runs. This guy has got incredible bat speed, but more importantly, he knows how to hit to all fields. Not only can he throw leather out there on the field, but man, this kid can hit, and he spray hits. Now, in case you don't know what I'm talking about, you better go look it up because, man, this kid hits evenly to all fields. And I say it as a former pitcher. He's the kind of kid I don't want to face. Now, mind you, this guy's only 20 years of age. In the postseason, I mean, you can't hide from the moments. Lights are on. The lights are bright. The crowds are loud. Of course, every pitch could determine the outcome of the game. And when all three of those things happen for the Brewers, listen, that 20-year-old kid, Jackson Chourio, did it with a big smile, and man, he showed up. In fact, manager Pat Murphy said he is special. And listen, this kid is special. When the Brewers entered spring training, Chourio was kind of pressing a little bit nervous, of course, fresh off that $82 million extension, a record for a player with 0 major league experience. That's right, the rookie, who was set to become the youngest player in the bigs, was clearly trying to show the world what he actually deserved. So throughout the season, Chourio was pretty quiet, nice, calm demeanor with a nice big bank account. And of course, you might even call him a little bit shy. But as he rounded the bases, not once but twice in Game 2 against the New York Metropolitans, he let out all the emotions in his body in his 2-run homer that saved the Brewers' season. And look, this kid is from a small town in Venezuela. He's not so shy anymore. In fact, he and anyone watching now knows that he actually has arrived. In fact, he even told Yahoo Sports back in March, quote, "I'm ready to put on a show for the big leagues and all the fans that haven't gotten to see me play," close quote. Listen, now we're in October, and he's doing it. So fast forward to today, that's exactly what he's doing. Throughout the season, Chourio had been the Brewers' spark plug. For the youngest player in baseball, then the youngest player in Major League Baseball history to record a 2020 season, he continued to get better every at-bat. How much more could you ask of this guy? Seriously. But after the team's star outfielder Christian Yelich went down due to a season-ending back surgery, Chourio seemed to just take on an even bigger role. And in that last game, with his team's back against the wall and the season on the line, Chourio took matters into his own hands. And of course, he said, post-game, quote, "The pressure is always going to be there. So as our players, our job is to control it the best way possible. It's to go out there and find the moment where we can control it, keep going out there and doing what we do," close quote. So the Brewers left field started his monster night by crushing a leadoff homer, as I mentioned, against a very tough lefty in Sean Manaea. And of course, that homer made Chourio the 5th youngest player to hit a home run in Major League Baseball history. And here's a sound clip, courtesy of Major League Baseball.
Time.
Chourio drives that one right field. Well struck. Marte back. Gone! And just like that, the Brewers have tied it up. The 20-year-old knocks it out of the park the opposite way.
Well, Chourio has huge power, and he has it to all fields. And in this case, he stays back.
That's right.
Time.
Jackson Chourio is that guy. Again, that's that spray hits. But he hit that ball with a lot of exit velocity off a very good lefty in Sean Manaea. I mean, look, the playoffs have a tendency to pressure big moments for the Stars to shine. And, of course, late in the game when the Brewers were facing that 3-2 deficit and an early October elimination, You could feel something special coming, and the crowd was buzzing in anticipation. In the 8th inning, when the Brewers needed some magic, sure enough, Chourio was there. And that was even on that 1-1 count. He drove a hanging cutter from Mets reliever Phil Matone deep to right, and of course, opposite field. Again, the Brewers dugout blew up, and the ball struck the facade of the second deck. Chourio electrified the crowd of 40,000 plus at American Family Field, and that home run made Chourio just the second player in Major League Baseball history to have a multi-home run postseason game before his 21st birthday, joining Braves great Andruw Jones, who did it at 19 years of age. It also made Chourio just the second player in Major League Baseball history to hit 2 game-tying home runs in one postseason game, joining George Herman Ruth, but you can call him Babe Ruth, in Game 4 of the 1928 World Series. That's nuts. I mean, look, there are so many accolades about this kid. You can go on and on, but in case you don't know, if you're a baseball card collector, if you like collecting cards, look up the 2022, just try to find a 2022 Jackson Chourio rookie. Not a 2024, not find the 2022 Jackson Chourio rookies. Those special insert cards are worth a fortune. Get them graded. Go to SGC, go to PSA, go to Beckett, whatever. Get those cards graded. Make sure that you lock those things up, because this kid's going to be a star for a long time to come. Remember, 2022 Jackson Chourio. We're going to get to some of the others when we come back here on The Circus in just a few moments.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC Sports affiliates across North America, with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935. Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Could you use a little extra money right now? If you'd like to borrow up to $100,000 and get pre-approved in minutes, call the number we'll give you at the end of this commercial. Our lending partners have already loaned millions of dollars to individuals just like you, and we're ready to lend you up to $100,000 if you qualify. Even if your credit is not perfect, you could use the money to pay off high-interest credit cards, for home renovations, or consolidate existing debt. You can get flexible, easy-to-pay terms. The consultation to find out if you qualify is free. To find out if you qualify for our special financing program, call this toll-free number 24 hours a day. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. That's 800-335-1376. Important terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Loan amount, annual percentage rate, and term will vary depending on creditworthiness. Applying does not guarantee approval. Account approval is subject to verification and confirmation of your credit history and acceptance by a lender. If you choose to apply for a loan through us, a consumer report will be obtained to evaluate your creditworthiness in connection with your application for credit.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes, are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door. store without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at uppercutchops.com or call 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Or make your selection directly at uppercutchops.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Thank you, Roy, and welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Folks, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, our recorded shows, which are a podcast, and also check out our partners page. One of those partners that's been with us for a very, very long time is the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's csncoyotes.com for the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Yes. All right, welcome back to everybody on our TV and radio affiliates. Everybody streaming. Pick your favorite platform. Everybody also watching on Facebook, too. We always want to welcome everybody over there. And so, listen, we left off with baseball, and we're going to continue on with baseball. In case you haven't been watching any of the other series and you've been focused on maybe the National League ones or they're kind of high profile, well, let's face it. You probably missed some really good defensive baseball and fundamental baseball if you did not watch the Kansas City Royals eliminate the Baltimore Orioles. And, you know, we talked about Jackson Chourio in the last segment, and he's one of those guys you really want to root for. You want to get those rookie baseball cards of his. Well, there's another guy that was in that series, same 2022. You're looking for Bobby Witt Jr. rookie baseball cards. If you are a card collector, even if you don't know anything about it, folks, these are gold. Get those cards. They're cheap. They're not super expensive. You can get them for just a couple, $3, whatever it is. Get yourself some Bobby Witt Jr.'s. Get yourself some Jackson Chourios. Get yourself some Jackson Holidays. He was playing in that series for Baltimore. And get yourself some Gunnar Hendersons. There are some really good young players that are in these playoffs. And in fact, that Kansas City-Baltimore series featured a bunch of them. From the Baltimore Orioles, you had Adley Rutschman, a good young star. You also had, as I mentioned, Gunnar Henderson, a very, very good shortstop for the Orioles. Jackson Holiday, arguably one of the most popular rookie cards to get, and he is going to be a special talent as well. And, of course, then you had Bobby Witt Jr. on the Kansas City side, which is arguably one of the best shortstops in Major League Baseball. And again, you're looking for that 2022 Bobby Witt Jr. baseball card. And so why are you looking for that? Look, the Royals gave this guy a big, big contract for a very good reason. The same reason that Jackson Chourio got his big contract with the Milwaukee Brewers. They have done everything they could to determine that these guys are going to be their cornerstones. And I'll tell you what, they are not wrong, because Witt is one of those guys. Bobby Witt Jr. got himself an 8-year, $292 million deal from the Kansas City Royals. Now, the Royals don't just throw money around. So they're building that team around this kid, and he is good. In fact, good enough to give very, very high consideration for MVP in the American League. And people say, well, you know, Aaron Judge is a way better player. Well, maybe so. But remember, Aaron Judge has what? Juan Soto protecting him in the lineup. When you compare the wins above replacements between Aaron Judge and Bobby Witt Jr., they're almost the same. Batting average certainly goes to Aaron Judge. But then again, fielding percentage, defensive play goes to Bobby Witt Jr. And Witt also had a bunch of home runs and a bunch of RBIs too. And I would argue he's more valuable to his team than Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge can take a day off, a week off, 2 weeks off, and there's a bunch of guys that'll hit home runs. That's just what they do. And so if you look at the Royals, they say, well, geez, they've got a couple of good players, but that's about it. You got Salvi Perez, one of the better catchers in baseball, and then you also have a couple of good pitchers on that team, and you have a pretty good first baseman that's fighting back from an injury, and that's Pasquantino. Other than that, the Royals really have Witt Jr. and those guys, and that's kind of it. And somehow these guys just keep winning, and they just eliminated a very difficult Baltimore Orioles team, and now they're moving on to play the New York Yankees, the big bad Yankees. And so it's the Royals and Yankees, and then in the other bracket, here you thought the Houston Astros were just world beaters for the second half of the season, and they get swept at home by the upstart Detroit Tigers. And these Tigers, they have nothing to lose, and it's fun to watch them. Of course, we give them a nice round of applause. And what's cool is that their manager was the old Houston manager that was there during the alleged cheating scandal, whatever. But it was the old manager that beat his old team. You gotta like that stuff. So you've got 3 teams, as I had mentioned several days ago before the playoffs started. I said you're going to see 3 American League Central teams in the next round of the playoffs. And guess what, folks? That is exactly what happened.
Show me the money!
That's right. If you were betting it, it's Cleveland against Detroit, and it's Kansas City and the Yankees. There's your 3 teams. And essentially, what you really would have had the Braves and the Mets not split their doubleheader on the last day, which was actually one day after the regular season, you would have had 3 National League West teams too, but Arizona was the odd team out in that one. And so Atlanta took the last spot, and they were just swept by the San Diego Padres. And let me tell you something, those Padres, those guys are no jokes. So you ask yourself, the Dodgers now have to face the Padres, which that is going to be one tough series. So you have to ask yourself, what are some of the concerns? I mean, look, the Dodgers and the Padres went down to the wire in the National League West race. Now they'll square off in the best-of-5 NLDS, which, of course, the 4-seed Padres advanced through the wild card round, of course, by the Atlanta Braves. But the Padres will be familiar postseason foes. Look, the Dodgers swept San Diego in the 2020 NLDS en route to the World Series, then were upset in 4 games in 2022, despite finishing 22 games ahead of them that season. In fact, this season, the Padres halted a decade and a half of futility against the Dodgers, posting a winning record in the rivalry. They were 8-5 against the Dodgers for the first time since 2010. However, the Dodgers prevailed, of course, when it mattered most, clinching the division by taking 2 or 3 games at Chavez Ravine, and that was late in September. Now, the sides, of course, are going to square off again, and the Dodgers have baseball best record at 98-64. Not really the best, but guess what? Good enough to win. That's because the Dodgers have a bullpen problem. They knocked the cover off the ball in the first 4 or 5 hitters, but then it's a huge drop-off where San Diego is probably a little bit more balanced. Now, remember, the Padres finished the season the strongest, winning 43 games, most in the majors, after the All-Star break. So these are some things to think about. Of course, that second half surge is kind of a big deal. You say, well, is it good enough to carry them? It wasn't long ago the Padres were only a 50-50 team. During their first 100 games, their lineup was scuffling, right? They had the Tatis injury and first half struggles with Machado and Xander Bogaerts. He kind of fell asleep at the wheel. Bullpen was shaky, but guess what? Even the Dylan Cease didn't look great in the middle. But Luis Ariz, man, that's a whole nother conversation. How Peter Bendix can get rid of Luis Ariz in his first transaction as the GM for the Miami Marlins, I'll never understand that. By the way, in case you don't know who Luis Ariz is, you better look him up. This is the only player to ever win 3 batting titles back to back to back with 3 different teams. That's insane. Absolutely insane. And in fact, if you're into it, go get some of those Luis Ariz baseball cards too, because that guy's not going down anytime soon. That guy hits a lot like Tony Gwynn. First time I ever saw him hit, I was like, wow, look at he is just like Tony. He has a very, very fast bat speed through the strike zone. He sprays the ball all over the place. He can hit for power, kind of like Ichiro. And Ichiro was a singles, doubles hitter because he wasn't trying to hit for power. He was just trying to put the ball in play. So anyway, as I completely digress, they have the number one leadoff hitter as far as I see it right now in the game, only because Ronald Acuna Jr. has been injured the whole season. So nonetheless, of course, a round of applause for the Atlanta Braves doing what they did without Ronald Acuna Jr. for essentially most of the season, and even Spencer Strider. Nonetheless, back to this Padres and Dodgers situation. Look, the Padres have a very contact-heavy offense. I mean, look, there are two things the Padres did better than any other lineup this season. Collect hits, lead in the majors with a .263 team batting average, and put the ball in play with their only 17.6% strikeout rate, easily the lowest in the majors. And of course, back to Luis Ariz, of course, he plays a key role in that, hitting .314, and even some of the other guys were hitting very well. And of course, we give it up to Jackson Merrill for hitting .290 plus as a rookie. That's very, very good. Now, pitching is a really big deal here. The real key to the Padres' late season run was the pitching. Now, after ranking 20th in the first half, their 3.38 ERA mark after the All-Star break led the league, something the Dodgers have a problem with. Now, Manny Machado is also waking up too, so watch out for Manny. These are things the Dodgers have to be concerned about. Even Fernando Tatis, this guy is starting to hit his bombs, and he's playing with a lot of confidence. And then we have the rookie situation with Jackson Merrill. And look, he's fighting Paul Skeens for Rookie of the Year. I still think Skeens is going to get it, but Merrill hitting sixth in the lineup. This guy is a really strong six-hole hitter. And so you have another one. Options for Shohei Ohtani. Is Ohtani going to be pitching out of the bullpen? I don't necessarily like that idea because every time even he swings the bat, he's hurting his elbow. No one's talking about it, though. And, of course, you got a lot of veteran depth in the lineup. So even if the Dodgers handle Ariz and Machado, Tatis, and Merrill, the Padres still have other bats that are able to wreak havoc. And so those guys are going to be a real problem for the Dodgers. Watch out, Dodgers. You may get upset here, and it really wouldn't be that big of an upset, so watch out. Back here in a few minutes on the Circus, we're going to shift away from baseball into something else. Don't go anywhere. I'm your Ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime, nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it on here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Hello, Americans. It's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time, that's 800-950-2049.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work, and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have, what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available special programs to help if you're struggling. All it takes for you to finally get out of credit card debt is one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
That's ridiculous.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by the Sports Circus. As I'd mentioned before, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, recorded shows which are held on our different storage pages for Apple, iHeart, Audible, Amazon, who else? Google, Pandora, and just a whole flurry of other ones. Anyway, so make sure you also check out the partners page. Lots of great partners over there. As I mentioned, the College of Southern Nevada in the previous. Also, I want to give a big shout out to our friends at Al's Number One Italian Beef at 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. Folks, if you've never had an Italian beef sandwich, it's kind of like a French dip, but it is a little bit different. It's kind of like that on steroids, and boy, is it a good sandwich. It is incredible. Check them out at alsbeef.com. That's alsbeef.com. Or you can even go to Goldbelly and just type in Al's Beef. That's Al's Number One Italian Beef at 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. Also friends on Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Yes! Man, that's good stuff. A shameless plug for one of my favorites. All right. Welcome back to everybody. Pick your favorite network affiliate. Big hello to our friends, by the way, over in Atlanta, WDJY, in Auburn, Alabama as well, WAUD 1230 AM. Thanks for joining us on the Atlanta Braves Radio Network. Even over in Honolulu on CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. That's home of the Yankees, home of the 49ers, and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Plus all of our other independents across the country. Thanks for joining us. Just to wrap up this baseball, because we did for the first couple of segments here, there is a second fan filing a lawsuit claiming ownership of the Shohei Ohtani 50-50 baseball. Haven't we had enough of this already? This is stupid. I mean, look, the guy left the ballpark with the ball. It's his ball. It is what it is. You just have to have strong hands. So the Associated Press says, the claim to Shohei Ohtani's potentially lucrative 50th home run ball grew more complicated, with a second fan filing a lawsuit asserting he had possession of the historic baseball. According to online records, the latest suit was filed by Joseph Davidoff in Florida's 11th Judicial Circuit Court, and the defendants are Chris Belansky, Kelvin Ramirez, Max Mattis, and Golden Auctions. Belansky is the man who left the stadium with the baseball. Mattis, who filed the first lawsuit, and Ramirez also had a claim of ownership on the ball. Ohtani became the first player in baseball history to hit 50 home runs, steal 50 bases, reaching the mark on September 19th with his homer against Miami. Against the Marlins, the bidding for the baseball through Golden Auctions is currently at $1,464,000.
Show me the money!
That's what these people filing these lawsuits are trying to say. But because a ruling related to Mattis's lawsuit, the ball can't be formally sold until a hearing that's scheduled for October 10th. And Davidoff claimed in his suit that he was able to, quote, firmly and completely grab the ball in his left hand while it was on the ground, successfully obtaining possession of the 50-50 ball. And of course, the suit goes on to say that an unknown fan wrongfully jumped over the railing. Yes, an unknown fan wrongfully jumped over the railing, jumped onto the plaintiff and the plaintiff's arm and attacked the plaintiff, causing the 50-50 ball to come loose and roll into the hands of the defendant, Chris Belansky. That's what the suit says. So Davidoff is seeking more than $50,000 in damages. But, what's with these people in lawsuits? They complain about everything. Well, you wrongfully used this name, or you benefited from this or that or whatever. There's always a money grab somewhere down the line. But, there's always three sides to the story. One, side A, side B, and then really what happened. And I can tell you that these frivolous lawsuits, they are absolutely that, in my opinion. Lawsuits are ridiculous, especially when you've got party A and party B. They know what really happened, and then what will happen is maybe party A will say, well, you know what? You didn't execute this contract within this time. You held me up from doing business and blah, blah, blah. And at the end of the day, what they couldn't do is they couldn't sell their item in the first place. Or they say, well, I have a missed opportunity of this or that. But ultimately, they try to find some other ridiculous means of which to argue just to squeeze money out of somebody else when it's completely ridiculous and unnecessary. And honestly, there's just a lack of integrity here. Just like with this baseball situation. Now, the first lawsuit claimed that Mattis, a Florida resident who was celebrating his 18th birthday, gained possession of the Ohtani ball before Belansky took it away. Part of the presentation by Mattis' attorney on October 10th will be a video of the scramble for the ball in the stands. And of course, the lawsuit stated, quote, Max successfully grabbed the 50-50 ball in his left hand and intended to keep it. Unfortunately, a few seconds later, defendant Belansky, a muscular older man, trapped the plaintiff's arm in between his legs and wrangled the 50-50 ball out of Max's left hand, close quote. Look, folks, this is a baseball. Yes, it's a lot of money. And ultimately, whoever left the stadium with the ball owns the ball. And it's kind of like when you see something happen on the playground. Whatever happens on the playground stays on the playground. It's like whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Come on, people. Stop trying to rip somebody off on this baseball thing and just move on. Now, sticking in Miami, here's an interesting one. How about Lionel Messi? He wins a record 46th trophy. Yes, because Inter Miami was great with and without him. How about this? Inter Miami clinched Major League Soccer's regular season title, and the primary reason for their supremacy was and is, of course, Lionel Messi. And Messi has transformed Miami from a team that habitually lost for years, as head coach Tata Martino recently said, to a team that habitually wins. And perhaps the greatest MLS team ever. So he helped beat the Columbus Crew, the reigning MLS champs, with 2 goals out of nowhere. The first unshackled a tight, choppy game. The second, a trademark free kick. 5 minutes later, stunned the Crew and left a sold-out crowd in awe. And the Crew coach, Wilfred Nancy, later said, quote, he had 1.5 opportunities and he scored 2. That is incredible. In fact, we have a little soundbite here, according to, or better yet, courtesy of Fox Soccer. Let's see if we can take a listen real quick here.
Messi! Messi! Oh, that is unreal!
That was the free kick.
He turned Schulte to stone. Tata can't even believe it. Messi to Columbus still.
Mike, I just mentioned I was a little bit surprised that the angle that Patrick Schulte took, and I mentioned that near post. If I can see it from here, there's no doubt that man can see it from there.
Referring to the goalie.
This is a poor wall because this one goes around the wall, so the wall is not set up properly. It doesn't go over the wall, it goes around the wall, and that cannot happen. This is on Patrick Schulte, not setting up the wall properly, not understanding where he is positionally, and then you give the greatest player in the world the opportunity.
That's exactly what happened. So folks, you weren't able to watch this if you were just on radio only. What ended up happening is there's a wall that's set up in front of the goaltender, and they didn't set it up properly, meaning they didn't have it wide enough and they did not have it positioned properly. And so it actually, when Messi kicked the ball, it hooked around the wall and just inside the near goalpost. And so unfortunately for the goaltender, he didn't set it up right. He was able to see it, but let's face it, he did not take the right path. And ultimately, it was Columbus on the short end of that one. And again, Messi 2, them nothing. But of course, they were Messi's 16th and 17th goals of the MLS season in his 17th game. And of course, they left the league's best defense in a complete daze. They lifted Miami to a 3-2 win and to a 10-point lead atop the table, a gap that neither the Crew nor FC Cincinnati nor the LA Galaxy will be able to close over the final 2 weeks of the season. So Miami, therefore, won the Supporters' Shield, the trophy that goes to the best team throughout the MLS regular season. And it's not the league's primary prize, that, of course, being the MLS Cup, which goes to the winner of the playoffs. But it is a prize, nonetheless, yet another trophy. This guy is just stupid good. You know, there is good, there's ridiculous good, and then there's just stupid good. It doesn't even calculate. You look at it like, how the heck did that just happen? In the same way when you looked at, guys stealing bases, you look at Ellie De La Cruz in baseball. Ellie's the most exciting player in baseball, stealing 3 bases on 3 pitches. He's just that guy. Lionel Messi is that in soccer. It is what it is, folks. Back here with football when we come back. Lots more to come. Don't go anywhere.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. That's 800-932-5517.
If you served in the Marine Corps, by now you know about the contaminated water problem at Camp Lejeune. If you were stationed or worked at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1987, you probably have a lot of questions. We have some answers. You could be entitled to compensation. Billions of dollars are being allocated to pay for damages to anyone stationed at Camp Lejeune during that time. Unfortunately, it appears that officials may have known the contaminated water problem existed and did little to protect their men. The Semper Fi code was not honored. If you or someone in your family has developed a serious illness, including various forms of cancer, call this Camp Lejeune legal support line right now. You can't turn back the clock and change what happened, but you can certainly call right now and learn your rights as a Marine. Here's the number.
Call 800-335-7196. 800-335-7196. That's 800-335-7196.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment is brought to you by the American Business Trust Company, helping companies with strategy, sales and marketing, capital resources, and establishing companies with physical locations or on the internet. For more information, contact the American Business Trust Company at 702-799-9935, 702-799-9935, 702-799-9935 for the American Business Trust Company. All right, welcome back to everybody. You know who you are. Shifting into college football real quick. I'm going to talk about these games that are coming up and the odds and who looks good and who doesn't. Last week, we did really, really well. Sal the bookmaker showed up and really picked some good ones, just like in baseball, by the way. So, coming right up, it is the Texas State Bobcats traveling to play Troy, the men of Troy, the Trojans. Texas State at 2-2, Troy at 1-4, and the odds are Texas State is 13.5. You know, it might almost be better to look at it this way. The line opened up at 13.5, and the line technically is 13.5. So that line hasn't really moved much, and so that is a relatively true line, which means that the men of Troy likely will cover the 13.5, meaning they'll probably win with the 13.5 points, maybe in one of those 27-14 kind of games. I just have a hard time understanding how Troy could even lose at home in the first place. Sam Houston, the Bearcats, 4-1, traveled down to El Paso to play UTEP, the winless Miners of UTEP. Now that one opened up at 10.5. Current line is 10 and 9.5. And we're going to go with Sam Houston in that one, minus the 9.5. FanDuel's got that one at 9.5, according to the odds. Jacksonville State, the Gamecocks, against Kennesaw State, 1-3 and 0-4. A couple of teams that are not very good. And this one, they have one win between 7 games between the two of them. I was going to say the 3 of them, if you know what I mean. Kind of funny stuff. But anyway, the current line on that one is trending towards Jacksonville State. And so we're inclined to go with Jacksonville State minus the 16.5. Next up is Houston. The Cougars traveling to the Horny Frogs, the Horny Toads, over in the greater Dallas area. So TCU is hosting Houston, the 3-2 Horned Frogs against the 1-4 Cougars. I don't even know what the hell's going on with Houston. Boy, they look bad. And I'm going to say that TCU will probably have a hard time covering the 17. We're going to go with Houston plus 17 in that one. Next up is, looks like Syracuse travels to Las Vegas, 3-1 against 4-0. Can't remember last time Vegas was 4-0. In fact, in that one, It is Vegas trending. They opened up at 4. The line is 6.5 now. So they're kind of leaning towards Vegas to cover the 6.5. I'll take Syracuse with 7. You got two teams that play indoors, and I don't think that Syracuse in the ACC is scared of UNLV. I will take Syracuse with the points there. Next up, a Big Ten matchup. Hard to say that with Oregon in there. Michigan State travels over to Eugene, Oregon to play the number 6 ranked Ducks. Now that one's kind of a shocker as far as the matchup to me. But the line opened up at 26.5, and it's currently 23.5. And so Michigan State's getting a lot of points here. And the money seems to think that Michigan State is going to cover. So the money has been going on Michigan State. You know what? We're going to lay the points, the 23.5, and go with Oregon in this game. Next up is Pittsburgh. The Panthers travel to Chapel Hill to play the UNC Tar Heels. The 4-0 Panthers, that is, against the 3-2 Tar Heels. And that one opened up at a picket, but the money's been going on Pittsburgh. That lines up to 2.5, 3 at Bally's. So we're going to go ahead and take the 2.5 over at the MGM. Minus 2.5, Pittsburgh minus 2.5 on the road at North Carolina. That looks pretty good. Staying in the ACC, it's Wake Forest traveling over to Raleigh to play the North Carolina State Wolfpack. The 1-3 Demon Deacons against the 3-2 Pack. And that one looks a little bit different. That one opened up at 6. It is basically 5.5 across the board. NC State, we're going to lay the 5.5 and take NC State in that one. Up next is Boston College and Virginia. The Eagles travel over to Virginia, 4-1 versus 3-1. Looks like a pretty good matchup in the ACC. And that one could go either way, but as it stands, the line opened up at 2.5. Virginia, it's down to 1.5. Basically 1 at MGM and Caesars Palace. So we're going to go ahead and book that at 1. We'll lay the 1 point with Virginia, basically just to win the game. Up next is UCLA, another Big Ten matchup that makes you scratch your head. UCLA travels to Happy Valley. The 1-3 horrific Bruins, they've just been getting their butts whooped. And they're playing the 4-0 Penn State Nittany Lions. That could be an ugly game, but then again, this almost looks like the proverbial Vegas fix. When everything looks one way, you got to go the other way. It opened up at 27.5. It's still 27.5 across the board. We're going to take UCLA with 27.5. Better yet, we're going to bet it at Bally's. Take 28. They've got it at 28. That's not bad. Moving on, it's Purdue. My hapless, horrific Boilermakers with, in my opinion, one of the worst coaches in America. Ryan Walters should have been fired last year. The 1-3 Boilermakers, mind you, they've only beaten Indiana State, lowly Indiana State, and they travel up to Camp Randall to play in a very tough stadium. And Wisconsin at 2-2, Purdue at 1-3. That line opened up at 10. All the money's been going on Wisconsin. Now they're up to 14, almost across the board. You know what? We're going to take Purdue plus 14 to keep the game close, but to lose yet again. UMass travels over to DeKalb, Illinois, that team that beat Notre Dame. Over in South Bend, UMass 1-4, Northern Illinois, a pretty good team at 2-2, and it looks like Northern Illinois may be able to get themselves another win here. The line opened up at 16.5. It's up to 17.5, pretty much across the board. We can still get it at 17 at Bally's. We'll lay the 17 against UMass. UMass is just completely outmatched in this one. A very good matchup with the number 9 ranked Missouri Tigers. Defense, travel to College Station to play the Texas A&M Aggies at 4-1. That is a very good matchup. There shouldn't be a whole hell of a lot of points scored in that one. But then again, I mean, geez, you never know which of the way the cookie's going to crumble in that one, because that could be one of those 3-0 games. The line opened up at 4. Texas A&M was 4, and it's down to 2. I'll take Missouri plus 2.5 at MGM. You could bet MGM at 2.5. You get it at Bally's at plus 2.5 as well. That looks like a pretty good price. Moving on, It is Navy, the 4-0 midshipmen, travel over to Colorado to play Air Force at the Air Force Academy. And, well, again, this one kind of makes you scratch your head too. Navy's -7 and opened up -7. Now it's up to -10. The money says, bet Navy, we're going to take Air Force +10. That seems like a no-brainer. And then it's SMU traveling to Louisville, 4-1 versus 3-1. That's a very good matchup. And so as you look at that one, again, there's not a lot of mystery as to what's going on with some of these games. If you follow the money, if you know how to follow the money, you'll get a good idea. This game opened up at Louisiana was -11. Now they're down to -6.5. All the money's going on SMU. Go with SMU. Take SMU +7 over at Bally's and some of your others. That seems like a pretty good pick. Army and Tulsa. The Black Knights 4-0 against the Golden Hurricanes at 2-3. And this one, I'm inclined to stay away from it. The line opened up at 8.5 Army, and that's all the way up to 12.5 Army. I mean, hell, just lay the 12.5 points, call it a day. That seems to make a little bit of sense. Clemson, number 15, goes to Florida State. Florida State, a team that just really fell apart. And there's a whole bunch of reasons behind it. Is Dabo Swinney's team good enough at 15? I don't know. I'm not so sure about that because Florida State's not as bad as they're showing on paper. Florida State actually is a little bit better than what they're showing, and I'm inclined to take those points, but you never know when it comes to, the ACC games, they sort of make you scratch your head sometimes. You're like, well, what are we doing here? So as I look at this, I say, you know what? I'll take the 14.5 points with Florida State. That makes a little sense. How about this one? This will be a fun one to watch. Number 4 Tennessee travels over to Fayetteville to play Arkansas at 3-2. Now, that'll be a wild and fun game to watch. I think the team that has the ball last, could end up winning that game. That's one of those games that you say, all right, let's just go get a big bucket of popcorn and let's watch that one because who the hell knows where that one's going to go. That's going to be a fun game. I don't even want to bet it. I just want to watch it. Tulane travels to UAB. We're going to go through these quickly, and we're just going to call out some winners here because it looks that way. We're going to call out Tulane over UAB, Western Michigan over Ball State, Indiana 5-0. They're going to go to 6-0. They're going to travel to Evanston to play Northwestern. Ohio State should roll over Iowa. Bowling Green over Akron. That's probably one of the best bets of the week. The Toledo Rockets, same thing, over Miami of Ohio. Va-Tech and Stanford, that is an ACC matchup. We're going to go with Stanford in that one. They're at home. War Eagle travels over to Athens, Georgia. Sorry, Auburn's not going to be a good day. Georgia's going to get themselves a nice big win. Same thing with Ole Miss against South Carolina. Ole Miss get themselves a win on the road. App State and the Thundering Herd of Marshall look for App State to win that one. Temple all over UConn, even though they're 1-4. Temple's defense is going to show up. East Carolina over Charlotte. Rutgers on the road at Nebraska with the upset. West Virginia and Oak State, don't even know what to think there. Oak State's got to win this one. Bama over Vanderbilt all day. Colorado State, they're going to get handed a loss at Oregon State over in Corvallis. South Alabama, they're going to find themselves on the losing side to Arkansas State. James Madison will go to 5-0 against Louisiana. Against Louisiana Monroe. Louisiana plays Southern Miss. That's going to be Raging Cajuns all day. Utah State will drop to Boise State. Old Domino will lose to Coastal. Baylor will lose to Iowa State. USC travels to Minnesota. USC will find themselves in the winner's circle there. Nevada will lose to San Jose State. Michigan is playing Washington in a rematch of the national title game. We're going to go with Michigan on that one. Florida over UCF. Duke will go to 6-0 against Georgia Tech. Kansas will lose another. Hawaii will lose to San Diego State. Miami over Cal Bears. And Texas Tech will lose to Arizona. Those are your scores, and that's going to do it for the circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal. Look for those wins in the winner's circle, and we'll see you cashing tickets. That's it for the circus. So long, everyone.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. That's 800-932-5517.